best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
Oh, this is Discover Crypto, the blockchain basement and BitLab Academy Consortium. Welcome to the holiday Halloween edition of the show here. I hope you all have some awesome plans today. We got some very, very important news breaking that we have to go over today. Venezuela invasion is now a conversation within the United States government. The pizza report, the Pentagon pizza report's flashing right now. Bitcoin's on edge, pulling back right after the news broke, but also some crazy things have happened that make people think that the market might just be coming to a close. Jim Cramer taking a selfie next to the founders of Solana is not a great look, folks. We have some problems. And also, one of the founders of XRP breaking their silence in response to this crazy, crazy movement and loss of hope within the XRP community that we're going to dive into. Kind of a base take from the guy, but I got my co-host here, Kelly Kellum, up on the stage here. Kelly, how you feeling, my man?
You know, I'm feeling good on a day like today where we are getting things like this. It's Halloween, and it's scary as it could be for those people that are not paying attention to crypto because you're getting drained in silence, taxes, devaluation of your dollar, all of this. But yet again, we're going to be diving into some data today because is Trump hitting that reset button right now with everything going on, especially with what we saw yesterday with Michael Saylor discussing what's going on with the banking cartels and their basically ready, willing, and able sort of movement into the crypto ecosystem. We have some incredible stories on that right now. And I do want to also just very briefly highlight this morning, you and I talked about the price action rejecting up here because of that bearish divergence on the 15-minute candles coming up into this. We talked about wanting for the bullish sake to see a pullback. Kelly, why would we want to see a pullback? Because of this, in case you end up being able to set up a higher low, reset the RSIs, and then get that actual movement that can actually fully swing through and break this trend line that we're waiting for. But we got a lot of stories to get into, so let's get into it, brother.
No, it feels good, and I'm glad you highlighted that. Me and Kelly come on the show and actually internally in our Discord group every single day before the market opens to give a general technical analysis of what the day trading Bitcoin is actually going to look like. And absolutely hitting the nail on the head as Kelly just showed you. So make sure you join that group. Link is down in the description, free to join. Just use one of our affiliate links, use your user ID, and you can get in. Now make sure you are subscribed to me on X so you can follow my crash outs and Kelly's beautiful face, right? I troll hard, okay? And you can go find all my trolling, my single-handed takedown of Chipotle posted here. It's going to be huge, and I'm very, very excited because I'm actually getting some access to short Chipotle, and stay tuned for that. I might die, but also make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel here at Discover Crypto, and welcome into the show, everybody. We got Deontay up in here, Papa Guth, Antonius Deadwood, Patton McCrotch, of course. Good to see you, Kenny Carneal, and Huck coming at you from Comanche. Now, let's get into markets. Things are looking scary. People a little bit worried. Okay. Fear and greed sitting at a 31. Altcoin index, not alt season, right? And the market cap coming down to $3.7 trillion has people shaking in their little boots. Bitcoin, when we were eating lunch, pulled back to that mark that we were looking for. Now, generally, this is a generalized bullish signal, seeing the VWAP reverse and the momentum move to the downside. This is my general recipe for trading. I'm going to be busy bringing you the alpha on the show today, so I'm not necessarily going to pay attention to this. And I also printed a boatload last night in a quick scalp while I was on a space with some great people. So now let's take a look at what caused this momentary pullback. This came out from Donald Trump talking about reports of potential strikes within Venezuela or around the location. As previously noted on the channel, yes, they are moving strike groups down to that area over the last week. But let's have a listen to what the orange one has to say when asked, are we going in Mr. President.
That you are considering strikes within Venezuela. Is that true?
No.
That you made a decision on that?
No, it's not true.
Flat out no. So I think people are getting a little bit too anxious on the markets. Also, Kelly, I wanted to highlight, I believe there's a large amount of options expiring today, correct?
Yeah, it's in the tens of billions of dollars coming into the end of the month today, Halloween. Also the day that the white paper was deployed onto the world. Of course, Bitcoin didn't actually get launched until January 2009, but today is that day, the scary, spooky day. But in reality, we're getting every month these options expiring. We talked about that today. With the action was moving very quickly. It kind of makes sense also in conjunction, not only with the options expiry, with the price action swinging around, because everybody was hoping for October, and we're about 3.5%, just a little bit more than 3.5% off that, meaning that it's going to close the month in the red if we close at this sort of price level. But then we also have, of course, a commentary going back and forth from Lindsey Graham about Venezuela, but then sort of reverse course on that commentary from Trump.
Right. Someone's asking, no costume today, fellas. Well, I do have a costume. I am dressed up as an American that respects his founding fathers and acknowledges how far we have fallen from the Liberty Tree. Look at this. This is it. Okay. That's the move. That's my costume for today. I'm spreading it. I'm terrifying people worse than any Halloween costume could possibly do here in America. Now, let's get into the news on all the movements of Bitcoin. I'm actually pretty excited for everything that happened last night. There's a pretty good reason why that market found some footing last night. Let's take a look at it. So this is from Altcoin Daily. Shout out to them. Hang out with them in Vegas. Looking forward to doing it again. But BlackRock, Wall Street, Michael Saylor, and the U.S. government and other nation states, millionaires, billionaires, and over 235 companies are all buying Bitcoin. They're asking, why is the price going down? Well, you know what? There's a lot of macro uncertainty, and there's a good reason for the shakeout to be happening right now to the plebs that currently hold Bitcoin before the governments, the financial institutions actually do make regulatory clarity across the board and give banks access to holding Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor had some big words about that coming that we're definitely going to be covering on the show today. Now, Kelly had this is my favorite graph in crypto, Kelly. Okay. And you made this post. I know I've talked about it ad nauseum, but I'm just going to let you take the wheel. Kelly, take the wheel and explain this image for those that are just tuning into crypto and need to understand what they're looking at right now.
Well, what we're looking at here is the issues in the banking area, in the banking cartels, the debt issues that they're having, unrealized losses when we had the mortgage-backed securities issues in 2007, 2006, 2000 into 2008. That massive crash we saw across the board in the housing market, but also in stocks. This was the distress the market was in before that. Understand this and how bad that affected the markets, and understand what we're seeing over here where it says, thank God for Bitcoin. Now, why do I say that? Because look at how this is orders of magnitude. This is exponentially more difficult. I don't have my chart up there, my bad. Exponentially more of an issue with how bad of a position we're in right now. And I want to show you something. I don't know if you all believe in God or not, but I say thank God for Bitcoin. And just notice, I looked at this about 10 minutes later, and my phone gave me this notification. Take a breath. Appreciate how blessed you are because you guys are paying attention to the right aspect of the market. And I did want to highlight this chart right here as well, because you just showed that chart from Altcoin Daily and, you know, the purchasing and everything going on. But understand the price levels we're at right now. And also know, since back here, this is at top at $74,000 before we pull back to 48 and then slingshot it up to 109. This is whales and institutions buying and moving this Bitcoin off of exchange. So meaning it's not available. It's not liquid supply anymore. So it's not easily sold and transacted. It's coming off of exchange. Look at that massive reduction in exchange holdings right there. This is magnificent to see.
Absolutely. And you know, when we have the time frame of fear like this, I actually felt like I bought an altcoin today. I bought an altcoin today that I've been tracking developments of it for some time. I know I remain mostly in Chainlink, Aerodrome, Morpho for what's on the front lines fighting for my financial future right now, excluding the Bitcoin. I bought an altcoin. We'll go over what altcoin that is a little bit later in the show, but this graph definitely has a whole story to tell. Now, behind the story is the U.S. banking reserves fall to $2.8 trillion. This is the lowest level they've been since 2020. The liquidity crisis happening in the background, happening very, very quickly. And the reason for quantitative easing and putting a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, which is the U.S. economy, has never been greater than where we are right now.
Well, and to boot, we're also in the middle of a government shutdown. Now, some people might think that that just means SNAP benefits. That just means air traffic controllers or other federal services. But it also means regional banks and major banks just banking across the nation doesn't have access to federal funds or to tap liquidity when they need it. So we see that massive sort of underwater debt crisis we're seeing with unrealized losses and the inability to tap to do any borrowing or lending from the federal government to shore up any issues that we're seeing. We very well could be right on the cusp of what we saw in March. When was that? 2019? No, March of
2020.
Yeah, March of 20. No, when we saw the 4 banks collapse. Right
that was March of 2023.
Yeah, so we saw 4 of the biggest banks crash in history, and the situation's worse now. And we have a government shutdown, so they don't have the ability to tap funds. So there's a lot on the table that, even as bullish as I am on Bitcoin and altcoins going into 2026, there's nothing that rules out some pretty major financial catastrophe that could happen in between if they do not sort this out in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. And I've been going through the sentiment. I pay attention to your comments after we're live, especially during the live stream. First and foremost, what are you guys dressing up for if you are dressing up for Halloween? I'm going to stay in this outfit, but my kids are dressing up as K-pop, the Huntrix team, the Demon Hunters. They're super excited. Let me know if you guys are going to be getting your kids out there to trick or treat. I'm super excited about it. What you got?
He says, say pink or it's not live. Pink.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm excited. And anyone, I've said it before, K-pop is incredible music design. Okay. Now, in the comments section, over the last week and really over the last few months, there has been so much aggravation that people almost want to make me apologize for coming up and talking to them about the upside potential of Bitcoin for the last 4 years. And I want to show you something. And you know what? I'm not going to say sorry. And here's why. Because I keep coming back to you. This is the situation. So 2010, Bitcoin was 20 cents. Then 5 years later, $312. 5 years after that, $13,000. Now you fast forward to 2025. We have made it from $13,500 to $110,000 per coin in the course of 5 years. So people that are out there complaining to me that I need to apologize for talking about the absolute power that we can harness as people with Bitcoin self-custody and sovereignty, you're not going to get an apology, because I am a freedom fighter and I find freedom through crypto, and the proof is in the pudding. Anyone that's out there flopping and groping, complaining that there is no upside in crypto is not going to make it, because this timeline tells the entire story, and Bitcoin is going to $1 million. It's simply a matter of time. Now, Michael Saylor made me bullish as all get out last night, saying that there are rumors going around that a number of banks plan to buy Bitcoin, custody Bitcoin, and issue credit and margin lines against Bitcoin in the first half of 2026. Now, this would be a giant egg on the face of Michael Saylor if what he's saying is not true. And I actually kind of feel like what he's saying is what's right around the corner. We have a lot of things happening that are setting up for crypto regulatory clarity and a mass adoption of crypto across the board and Bitcoin holdings. And U.S. senators are getting ready to push forward on a bipartisan crypto market structure bill that is happening even with the government shutdown going on. This tells me that this is a systemically important part of conversation for the government to continue having, and they are not going to stop having this conversation even with the government shutdown, which tells me it's going to happen. And I'm pretty excited about it. A lot of people have been kind of discouraged because the super cycle has so far gone into stablecoin infrastructure, but how the heck do you think crypto is going to be adopted across the country if you don't have the baseline understanding and regulatory framework for stable coins to make sure that they're backed and make sure that they're interoperable. It's a very, very simple equation to put together. Sometimes you need to take your emotions out of the 5-minute chart to see the grander picture. And this as well came out today that OpenAI is preparing for an IPO at $1 trillion valuation. This came out from Reuters. Now, $1 trillion seems a little crazy to me, but when I think about NVIDIA is a $5 trillion company, there is an aspect to this, Kelly, I want to ask you about where AI, it's, in my opinion, still at the front end of development and application. But there is going to be a time where the music stops, right?
Well,
NVIDIA's at 5
hold on
trillion.
a second, though. $1 trillion feels like it's outlandish. But when you look at the data, of what's being utilized right now and being deployed within the AI framework of inference, of compute, of the power that goes along with these data centers as well, and you realize the power is the number one component. And the fact right now is that there's 2-year, 3-year, 5-year waiting lists right now to get access to the power required for the data centers that are already being built. So when we're looking out a couple of years, 3-4 years, when we're considering what's going on with NVIDIA, 5 years, or OpenAI, could it be $1 trillion valuation? I think looking at the scale of how fast these things are getting deployed and the rate at which power is about to just absolutely go parabolic, especially with the relaxation of power regulation. Trump so much has said, you guys can go and build your own power infrastructure for each of your data centers if you want to. So that alone tells us that we are going to move aggressively into more power, which is only going to unleash more and more data centers, compute, and all that. So I think there's going to be I think the $1 trillion valuation feels outlandish now. And we're going to look back on it and going, wow, that was low.
Absolutely. You know, AI is all over the place. I'm going to keep talking about AI a little bit, but I want to look at the chat to see what you guys are dressing up as for Halloween, because I see some comments about K-pop. I want to go find them here. Little girl, K-pop Demon Hunters, and I've seen probably 12 at school. Yeah, they were everywhere. They were everywhere at my kids' school too. Jay Shlong, and I was all about K-pop until my kids watched it 1 million times in a row. I know all the songs on the acoustic guitar now, and it is what it is. Good to see you here, Coca-Cola, even if you are late, right? Now, AI, I'm using it
How I
to...
know you're gay.
What?
It's how I know you're gay.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know AI is helping me in my workflow keep up with everything, but also sometimes you need to question the results. And often, really, you need to question it every single time. My wife and me were at a park. She looked up if a certain mushroom was edible at the park. AI said yes, right? No problem. She ate the mushrooms and then later got sick, did some further research, found out that she actually needed to cook the mushrooms before she ate them. And this is just a great meme about it. Is this mushroom edible? Yes, you're right. That mushroom was poisonous. I'm sorry for the confusion. Would you like to learn more about poisonous mushrooms? So, you know, AI, it helps, but it's not everything. It is not everything. And you must do your own cross-referencing, your own checking of the data. And it's not all knowing. And that is exactly why. Now, I said I was going to talk about an altcoin I got into today. Here it comes. Okay. And let me know first, before I get into what I'm doing, are you guys buying any altcoins right now? Are you buying any crypto? 1 in the chat for yes, or 2 in the chat for no. I'm staying the hell out of this thing. I got what I got, and I'm going to see if we have an actual altcoin season or a blow off top. 1 for yes, 2 for no down in the chat. I want to know kind of where your heads are at right now, because God, the crypto timeline is absolutely dismal right now. It is just kind of crazy out there, but I bought something today. It is related to this. So Ethereum treasury firm SharpLink put $200 million into Ethereum in a Linea, and Linea or Linea. How do we say? We got to decide what we're going to pronounce it as. Is
Linea
it
or Linea? I don't know.
I like Linea. Okay, I like Linea. I'm going to call it Linea. It goes faster off the tongue. It works better for me. But this is into DeFi protocols. Now, this The development will occur over multiple years using risk management strategies. The firm said in a statement it will take place in a collaboration of Linea Creator Consensus. Now,
We got the proper pronunciation for it.
Oh God, what is it? Lintrashia. Oh, nice, wise man. I like it.
You are banned.
I'm just kidding. Now there's things that we need to dive into here. Okay, jokes aside, Consensus is one of the strongest and most influential organizations in crypto. Joseph Lubin is a powerhouse of influence over the crypto space and especially within the Ethereum ecosystem.
Now why would that be?
Would you like to explain?
No, you tell. Like, why is Joe? How is he tied in with the ETH ecosystem?
Okay, so Joe Lubin was one of the baseline people that I think he was either part of the Ethereum Foundation or
one of the co-founders.
Yeah, he's like one of the co-founders. He has a giant bag of it. And Consensus has been tied into a lot of the creepy things about Consensus was that it had World Economic Forum ties, and there was a lot of, plays within the kind of the, I don't want to say this word on this channel. You're really asking me a tough question here. You're pulling me down the rabbit hole.
I mean, no, the question was just for you to say ETH co-founder. You didn't even go down the rabbit hole. He's also the founder of MetaMask. I mean, some of the core tooling that we see in the crypto ecosystem, one being ETH, the majority of altcoins are built either on ETH or as an EVM compatible chain if they're going to be relevant. The other thing is MetaMask, one of the largest wallet providers that are out there. I mean, he's just one of those powerhouses within the ecosystem. And Linea, we talked about it this morning on the Discord show. You and I both were like, you know what? Let's get it. It's about a $200 million market cap, 200 million. They just announced that they're basically taking the entire narrative that XRP thought that they were going to do. And the price has not yet responded to that. So that's not necessarily bad for Linea. It just means that, I see multiple X's in this when the market does resolve to the upside.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's a couple reasons for that, right, Kelly? It's in my opinion, Joseph Lubin has a giant ego, and it almost feels like a situation of Brian Armstrong and his ego behind what is now the Base network, which is why I started really sifting through the Base network to find kind of the pinch points of activity within the Base network. And those picks have really insulated me from a lot of painful downward pressure on most altcoins, right? But this Linea play, when you get on the MetaMask app, they have it listed right under Ethereum, which I found crazy. Like when I got on to buy it, it's pretty clear that they're driving traffic to Linea. I keep calling it different things. Linea? I'm confusing myself on it, but also this is the only other thing outside of Chainlink that's actively and truly working with Swift, right? So I'm a utility token investor. I bought a small amount of it. It's a risky play. Kelly's in it with me. So we're both in trouble if it keeps falling down right now. Yeah, and here's a highlight from DeFi Crypto with that Swift highlight. Exactly. So the price is not that great over the last release, right? So this token just came out, and it came out at about 3.2 cents, and it has been a very, very sharp drive to the downside. Me and Kelly were looking at this thing in the morning Discord show, and this actually looks like it's trying to find a bottom where it's currently at right now. Yes, the market's trying to roll over lower. What I did is I used 1% of my portfolio to get access to this, right? I'm not going to over invest in something so new. It does look promising, absolutely, but I don't want to have my risk super high. And as Kelly mentioned, it's under a $200 million market cap. So, I think that it's actually got a pretty interesting chance to make some upside, and you got to risk it for the biscuit, Kelly. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the deal. This is a stupid correlation. If Doge can go to $80 billion and it does nothing, it's just a meme. If XRP can go to $180 billion, if Chainlink is currently at about $13, $14 billion, $12 billion,
yep.
And who knows? I'm not saying it's going to go to a direct correlation of any of those, but Linea is tied in with one of the founders of the ETH of Ethereum. also being listed as, one or number two, I think, on MetaMask. How many millions of people use MetaMask? And they have partnerships that are already announced with integrations with Swift, the largest global payments network. It seems to me, if you wanted to be super overwhelmingly, super duper conservative, getting to $1 billion would be a joke for this to only reach with all of these different things in play. So at $200 million, I'm willing to throw in 0.5% of my portfolio, 1%. So meaning if you have $10,000, you're putting in not $1,000, you're putting in, $100.
Right.
You're putting in $200, something like that. If you have $100,000 and you scale in that regard, you don't need to put in 30% of your portfolio because you're excited about this. And no, because if it's going to go to, let's say, $10 billion from 200 million, that's such a large X. You're going to have tens of thousands of dollars, even if you started with $100.
And I think I really want to emphasize about me and Kelly, how we approach this with a risk mitigation approach, right? It's a very small market cap. It's a brand new project. So me and him fully understand it's risky getting into such a new release, but the exposure is such that it could go to zero and I would not lose an ounce of sleep because I didn't risk my entire portfolio after this. And that's what I really, really want to impress on people is just being thoughtful when you see these new products, because this is the sentiment right here. I loved this chart. This is from Quentin, super cool guy. This is the Wall Street cheat sheet. And this is most altcoins mentality right now. They had that December pump and then they moved into anger, depression, another Trump tweet, deeper depression, wrecked, rector, ultimate rector, annihilation, and then Cretaceous Holocene extinction event. And now I know it's funny, it's silly, but we really need to sit back and get our emotions in check. If anyone is getting into crypto, you have to understand how volatile disruptive markets that are going up against the existing ecosystem can and will be. Okay. It is not the easiest thing in the world.
Well, the other thing too is like we're in this period right now where people are really debating. They're legitimately worried that the cycle is over. And so when you look at that chart that you just had on stage right here, the feeling, and then you come out of that and you realize that we had earnings reports, over this last few days. MicroStrategy, Coin for Coinbase, Amazon, Apple, Google. This is just a few of them. All of them smashed their earnings. We just got rate cuts. We just got told that they're going to basically stop quantitative tightening on December 1st. And then you look at the chart. Look at this chart. This is, who cares about the 4-year cycle? Let's look at this data point. The business cycle signal. When this is high, when this peaks, that's where you get the top of the market cycle. When this peaks, you get the top of the market cycle. When this peaks, you get the top of the market cycle. Is this anywhere near peaking? It's at the absolute bottom of the range. In some ways, you could argue that the bull run hadn't even started, but then you could say, Kelly, we've been in a bull run because we have higher highs and higher lows. But then you also have to remember Bitcoin is in such a unique position relative to every other asset because it's an inverse relationship to the number of dollars that are out there. When you have a lot more dollars, things also cost more. So AKA, when they have all this inflation, we all have seen how much costs have gone up for everything. So I do think that they're still bleeding into the asset price, showing this sort of move to the upside. We're also seeing it in the stock market, but the business cycle has not even made that expansion phase to the upside, which would suggest that very strong 2026 and onward. So I think there's a lot to consider what's going on right now in this market and stop being so worried that we have, at these moments where we're seeing a little bit of downside action and it feels longer. That's not what I wanted to show. I wanted to show your that other chart you just had.
The other one?
Yeah.
It's
all good. It doesn't matter. Yeah, this one right here.
All right, let's pull it up because this is just crazy, man, that people feel this way. I think that a focus on revenue focused projects is something we can learn from the sentiment that's out there. And I think me and Kelly, I feel like it's our job to get people to take a breath and to realize how truly early we are with the projects that are being adopted and how late it is for these basically Ponzi schemes, vaporware that had no real use case, that were all just insider influencer driven tokens that use their viewers as exit liquidity. And I have decided this morning that I am now on a warpath against these people that have been doing this to crypto because they give crypto a terrible name. They get people terrified, and it's disgusting to me, Kelly. So we're probably going to end up getting in a little bit of trouble over the next few months, but it's
Well,
going to be
we've been here before, though, is the whole point.
Right.
You know, when this chart that I was bringing up, this is basically every time we've had an FOMC meeting going back to June of this year. Every time we've had an FOMC meeting, we've had, 6 to 8% drop. Here we just had the FOMC meeting. Oh my God, you're telling me what we've done every time we've had an FOMC meeting? And we have the liquidity conditions and the monetary policy and earnings reports exploding, suggesting things are a lot stronger. I think there's going to be a slingshot that a lot of people are giving up. And unfortunately, I think a few more people need to give up. But I think we're going to have a good Christmas.
Yeah, it's remember the yen carry trade, Kelly? Do you remember how bad the sentiment?
August 4th, August 5th of last year.
Yeah, we fell down to like $49,000, and the vibe was actually a little bit better then than it is now. And that was like a really big pullback. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you need to take into account and keep your emotions out of it. Like, this is a great explanation. Just show people the process here, because we've been here for years doing this. And I think this information is valuable for people that are watching the charts, wondering if it's over right now.
Well, here's the run up right here. The run up, so excited about the ETFs. The heartbreak when we actually had what happens in every markets: buy the rumor, sell the news. ETFs went live. And then we slingshot it up from there, because now we have all this incredible capital flow coming in, and also where we're in the market cycle. And then already kind of chopping, somewhat bleeding to the downside, but we never got that taparoo right here on this previous range high. What took it? The yen carry trade. So was it the yen carry trade, or did the price just need to resolve into testing a previous range high and then slingshot to the upside? Trump gets elected. This is November 5th. The bullishness of that, because he's a more crypto, the approach looked a lot like it was going to be a lot more friendly around crypto. Well, then we got the rumor. Okay, he got elected, but it's going to be good for crypto. And then what day was the top? What day was the top, Drew?
Oh God, was it the inauguration day?
Yeah, the day before the inauguration, the day.
Yeah.
Let's see, where is that at? Right here. This, let's see where that high is. Oh my God, January 20th, inauguration. So you're telling me it's again, buy the rumor, sell the news. And what did it do? Tap the previous range high. And then here we are again, now slingshotting to that. Oh my God, the sell-off also because of tariffs, slingshot to the upside. We're just doing this rinse and repeat, shaking out the tourists along the way. So you got to ask yourself, are you a tourist? Are you here to make some money in this market?
Hey, shout out to Grizzly Bear joining as a member. Appreciate you. Huge shout out. And I saw Greg in the chat. Good to see you, man. Now, I got to do my daily chain link information. I got to. Okay.
Well,
Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is just integrated with Chainlink tech stack. Link is the fee for this $2 trillion plus assets organization. Deutsche Bank is a systemically important bank for the world. And now they're also plugged into Deutsche Bank. So
this goes back to what you were mentioning earlier with Michael Saylor and the banks and how aggressively banks are moving in,
right? And
how slow the European Union is to move towards evolving technologically and what's going on in that regard. The fact that they've moved so quick, like in terms of Deutsche Bank, stablecoin deployed right now live in the MICA, the Euro zone. And now we're talking about what's going on with JP Morgan, what they're doing with their chain, what Bank of America, Wells Fargo, BNY Mellon, all those banks that Michael Saylor mentioned. There is a race to integrate and deploy in meaningful ways, not only crypto services, but also stablecoin and payment rails within the crypto ecosystem, which is going to benefit some of these top L1 chains.
Right. And now a huge shout out to Kalpesh. Incredible profile picture. Like the intensity in the eyes. The Tensor Tau is on fire. We got to check out the Tensor Tau later on, but I do have a little bit of a warning about one project in particular that I never got into this project. I was a little bit suspect from the name change, and I basically decided that any project that had to change its name is basically writing its own doom. And this project, use DeFi Llama. If you are new to crypto and you don't know about DeFi Llama, I implore you to do so. Here we go. Oh, my flag fell down here. So DeFi Llama.
I shall fix your flag while you're talking.
Oh, okay, cool. Sonic was Phantom. Sonic was Phantom, and now if you go to DeFi Llama, I was very interested in this project because of the speed that the protocol works on. It's a very, very fast working protocol. But the problem here is that the total value locked has absolutely fallen off a cliff, right? So when I see something like this happening, we got to go check out the actual price of the token now. This is a major disappointment for me. I am very uninterested in buying these extreme lows of this project in particular, even if it looks generally like Linea, which I did buy today. This is yes, Illuminati Congo. This is a giant letdown. And I will say that I remember Phantom felt like kind of a fair weather friend. That was a organization that was here when crypto markets were doing well and then disappeared, came back, rebranded, and now has basically fallen off the edge of a cliff. So I do implore you, if you are new to crypto and you don't already use DeFi Llama, please do so yourself. Please absolutely do so yourself. And let's see if we got any TVL info on Tau. Now I won't have Tau on here, but you can go through, say, Chainlink. It doesn't show Chainlink. You can get the revenue off of Chainlink here, but XRPL, you got $85 million in TVL on XRPL. Now, $140 billion market cap project should probably have more than $85 million in TVL, just my personal opinion. But you can come here and look at these statistics for yourself and make that decision for yourself. You can go through Solana, look at Solana, okay? Look at the ground of which Solana walks upon, which is the total value locked. Please keep these tools in your chest to make sure to do your due diligence and not fall for the next hot ticket. That's one of the aggravating things for me and Kelly is that, I don't know if it's aggravating him, but every time a hot new project comes out, it's almost like the community tries to shame you into buying it or, shame you into getting in early with them. And I have to use a lot of discretion. Like, how do you approach these projects? Because we have a lot of new projects being released, Kelly. Do you just take a stab with a tiny amount on most of it, or do you wait until some of the price action is kind of come to clear and you can get clearer signals?
Well, I mean, think about Aerodrome. Aerodrome kind of came out of nowhere, right? Base ecosystem wasn't this massive narrative at the time, but we knew it was very much tied in with Coinbase. And then, Coinbase kind of out of nowhere did $100 million, not over the counter buy, but a market buy, meaning they went into an exchange and bought it. So it actually had impact within the market price, but also was kind of like, hey, super supportive of that ecosystem, and also put a flag in Aerodrome about how they're going to integrate it with, really seriously about the projects that they were leaning into to help deliver and drive the base ecosystem, similar with Morpho. But when all these coins, sorry for the language, I don't give a shit that a Waymo hit a cat and the cat's name was Kit Kat. And so we got to go, but I don't do that. Is freaking nonsense, right? So I think there's, you can look, you can do literally, I would argue 99% of even people in this room right now have done less than 4 minutes of diligence on most of the stuff they hold. And listening to me and listening to you is not diligence. Actually going to DeFi Llama, going to CoinMarketCap, going to the website of the project. Who's involved? I don't know who they are. So what do? Go search their name. See what projects they've been a part of. Oh, every project they've been a part of is rugged. Probably not going to be a sustaining project. So doing a little bit of diligence will take you a long way. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. And it'll protect you from things like this. The Memecoin super cycle that mysteriously is still in the room with us somewhere. This is Murad round tripping his meme coins. He put $10 million into a group of meme coins, and he went up to $50 million. Now, at the time when Murad had $50 million in coins that do nothing, he didn't take profits. Instead, he rode them back down to his original entries. I agree with Noah. I can't believe how he's feeling right now, but it also goes to show us that just because someone is popular doesn't mean that they're correct. And just because someone is popular doesn't mean that they're not leading their sheep to slaughter. Okay.
James Wynn.
Right. So these things we have to take into account. Now, this was interesting. I saw this response from David Schwartz. Or is this him? Yeah, Joel Katz, David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple. He was kind enough to engage with the Wolf of Wall Streets in a constructive discussion and answered questions. There's been a lot of issues coming up. Why didn't Western Union stay with XRP? Why aren't we the global standard? Why aren't we paying for bread in XRP? So this is Wolf of Wall Street's comments. Oh, God, that Mexican food's getting me, Kelly. Hold on. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Beep, beep.
So can we have a proper discussion about this? Very curious about the role of the token itself and what it plays in the ecosystem and how much current adoption there is. Talking about that structure, talking about all these banks moving in versus the theoretical value based on what is being built. Not a sought after, but the nature of the new tech. David Schwartz actually responded to this, and I do respect the fact that David Schwartz came out and is engaging the community because they are very confused, they're very hurt, and they need answers, right? So the funny thing is, according to him, if you think that most of the value of cryptocurrencies comes from expected future speculation, so what you care about for future price changes, what people think will happen, is much more important than what has happened. Looking at Bitcoin, most of the current investment thesis is something like, imagine if most companies start storing 1% of their treasury in Bitcoin, what will that do to price, right? That's a lot of speculation, and that's a whole heck of a lot to have to happen for it to happen. What's that saying for the future? More people will speculate on future price appreciation than speculate currently. I've not even based an expected future utility. It's based on expected future speculation. I want to believe utility matters. I really do. What he's saying is the utility is not yet there for XRP, right? So if people want to speculate and understand how speculative it is to put money into XRP, hoping it becomes the global standard, the payment rails for the world, understand what you're getting into, right? I just do want to emphasize that there is a thesis of mine since I got into crypto was basically only being interested in utility-based projects, and then Bitcoin, the ground floor for where they can spurn up from. And keeping myself insulated into that focus has really, really helped me, right? A lot of people thought that I was just a total fool for jeeting XRP for 70 cents to go pick up a giant bag of XRP at $3 and then jeeting that one for 16 and a half. In the meantime, XRP has risen from 70 cents now to $2.40 right about, right? So, a 3 or 4x, great, right? That's a little bit of a move, but I made way more money being aggressive with that XRP, even from 70 cents, insulating myself and now moving it into the base ecosystem. It's just about my own personal thesis. I know a lot of people didn't follow me in that, and I have a lot of new viewers coming in that didn't know that I was doing that. But I make these things public, and I tell you exactly what I'm doing, and you can listen or not, right? Now, this worries me. Anatoly Yakovenko took a photo next to Jim Cramer. Okay, so Jim Cramer has gotten his spot. Is this the death of Solana? I say nay. I say nay. It's not a great look, but I don't think Jim Cramer's going to win this bear signal here. I mean, okay, I feel like Kelly's about to show me something pretty scary here. I feel like he's going to scare me with something.
No, it's not a scare. It's more of, the inverse Cramer. This is what you're kind of alluding to, when we talk about, I spoke with a guy the other day and he's like, yeah, back when I was trading stocks, I would just follow whatever Jim Cramer did. Now, maybe that was the case 20 years ago, but this is the fact. If you trade inverse to what Cramer is positive on, you're up 56%. If you follow just what Nancy Pelosi and her husband are trading, you're up 46%. So the reason what you're saying right now, Drew, when you're looking at this photo right here, there's a little bit of that hesitation because his calls of it's time to sell Bitcoin is when Bitcoin is about to jump. When it's time to buy Bitcoin, that's usually when price is about to drop. He's completely backwards. So if he's aligning here rather than just being next to them, then it's kind of like when we talk about the moon being full, Bitcoin might pump. Maybe this has a correlation, maybe it doesn't. But he has not been on the right side of directionality with crypto whatsoever since the time he first mentioned it.
And SYR has an interesting and valid comment. Who wouldn't take a picture with Jim Cramer? He's pretty famous. And you know what? I would take a picture with Jim Cramer. I would too. Take a picture. You would too? Let us know in the chat.
Here's the deal. What people need to realize about Jim Cramer is he may be, I don't want to say on the wrong side of the track now, but he didn't just show up as a TV personality. He was, part of a hedge fund. I think the founder of that hedge fund, or very, very integrally involved. And they made a lot of money. I think what happened is the fact that he became a TV personality and had a millions of person audience and reach. I think that corrupts in some ways. And I'm not saying that Jim Cramer's corrupt. I'm saying that what happens is people start counter trading, or they start front running trades, or you start affecting the market in pretty major ways. But then you also get sponsorship dollars that can shape what you're okay to talk about, what you're not okay to talk about. And it really does have a bigger impact than when he was just a naked investor, trading the swings in the market.
Yeah. And you know what? Like Solana ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, I don't take that as bearish, right? If you're rubbing shoulders with the New York Stock Exchange, it doesn't necessarily feel bearish. Meme Constable, thanks for the $10 super chat. Wrong clock will still be correct on occasion. That's an absolutely true statement. Now, we have a few more things I want to touch on, and this was an insane tweet I saw last night. SBF came out and says, this is where the money went. Okay. And he gave us a link.
All the lawyers.
Right. So over 7 million customers deposited around $20 billion for the cryptocurrency exchange FTX on November 22nd. When the customers tried to withdraw their money, FTX then filed for bankruptcy with $8 billion still owed to customers. For a couple of years, customers got nothing back. Where did those billions go? The answer is they never left. After 2 years delay, the estate revealed that all customers would be repaid 119 to 143%. Around 98% of creditors have already received 120%. And after repaying out $8 billion in claims and $1 billion in lawyer fees, the estate still has $8 billion left. In fact, FTX was never insolvent. They have always been enough assets to repay the customers in full, in kind, both in November 22 and today. Crisis FTX faced in November 22 was a liquidity crisis, sudden shortage of cash. It was on track to be resolved by the end of the month. That is until FTX's external counsel seized control. FTX was never bankrupt, even when its lawyers placed it into bankruptcy. Now let's do some critical
thinking. That was right at the time. It was just before, what was the bank? Signature Bank? It was just before that, what was going on at that time, Drew? What was super heavy in focus at that time in banking and in dollars and in crypto?
Well, I mean, the commercial real estate was dragging banks under, but there was a whole myriad of things. Choke Point 2.0 as well. That's right. That's right. So you think maybe Choke Point 2.0, maybe they shut off the vein of liquidity from a U.S. standpoint, or could it been, because a large amount of liquidity for crypto exchanges is provided by the biggest exchange out there.
Right. I think it was probably a combination of many of those things, but the fact, Bruce Fenton really talks about this at length and he really nails it. It's criminal. I really think it is criminal that lawyers can go in, that they do all the debt restructuring and basically the bankruptcy, and they see how much capital's on hand and then somehow they're able to charge, their bill is 43. They're not, hey, we're paying this out. Their bill to process it over the course of a year is $43 million. You are out of your mind. And then they say they made everybody whole because they gave you 120% of the dollar value of that asset 2 years, 3 years ago. But in reality, 120% of Bitcoin at $15,000, how much Bitcoin can you buy with that when Bitcoin's at $120,000?
True. That is very, very true.
It's a backwardation of just, it's stupid. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of putting the plea out that he's the fall guy, and there was a liquidity crisis. Now the question is, was it from Choke Point 2.0, or was it from the current biggest liquidity provider in crypto? Right? That's the question we should be asking ourselves, because the latter of the two, the biggest liquidity provider in crypto, is a direct competitor, and FTX was rising very, very quickly at the time. So some things that make you think. Now, I know we have a beautiful night ahead of us. Everyone stay safe out there, but I will implore you, with no risk, there is no story, okay? If you try, you have the chance to win or lose. If you do not try, you only have one path, and that is to lose, to be caught within the constant inflationary pressure that happens to your buying power, with the need to stay at work, to never be able to retire, or to have to come out of retirement because this government keeps printing money and dumping on all our heads in the silent form of taxation, which is inflation. So I am out here risking it for the biscuit. Kelly is out here risking it for the biscuit. Every single morning, me and Kelly put our necks on the line, looking at money flow, market dynamics, up or down, how much up or down, where's the spots of support, and we've been nailing it. And we work really, really hard for you guys. I really implore you to stay tuned and to get part of the Discord channel. And also, someone asked in the chat where you get this Bitcoin ticker from. We have a link down in the description for that. And let's see here. We got something about an orange comment. Where's this
just
orange
hard
comment?
that, dude.
What's that?
You just hard that ticker.
Okay. Okay, Kelly. Where is this show orange comment? I want to see what Coca-Cola is talking about.
The only one I saw was the one about the wrong clock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, broken clock's right twice a day. So, guys, just love on your family. Make sure that you understand that this is a disruptive market. I do not want to see this community falling apart in shambles as Bitcoin is literally still over $100,000. This is a terrible time to be getting out of the way. We have all the regulatory framework laid out for crypto to be here to stay. And if people are running away, they're going to miss out on literal life-changing wealth. You just have to focus on not holding insider VC dump scams, okay? Make sure that you're not putting your huge chunks of portfolio into these dump scams, because they are predators that are out there trying to take your money literally out of your hand. And we work hard to make sure we're on the right path here. So I love you guys. Appreciate you. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.